The conservative media world is in absolute chaos. What started as a quiet disagreement between two women who once called each other sisters has now exploded into one of the most shocking betrayal scandals in modern political history. At the center of it all, Candace Owens Erika Kirk, the wife of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. A leaked private phone call between the two powerful women has not only revealed personal betrayal, manipulation, and emotional warfare, but also ignited a firestorm that could dismantle one of the most influential conservative empires in America. The leak, which surfaced online just after midnight, is over 11 minutes long. It captures Candace and Erika in a tense, raw, and unfiltered conversation that starts calm but descends into a storm of accusations, resentment, and shocking admissions. The call begins with polite tones, Erika claiming she just wants to clear the air, and Candace insisting she's tired of the backroom games. But within minutes, their voices rise, and what spills out isn't just gossip. It's revelation. Candace accuses Erika of betrayal, of using her influence to isolate her, of turning the conservative movement, once built on unity, into a controlled media empire designed to silence any voice that didn't serve the Kirk's narrative. Erika fires back, claiming Candace has gone rogue and forgotten who made her a star. At one point in the call, Candace says the line that's already gone viral across social media: "You used me for your empire and erased me when I stopped being useful." That quote alone has been replayed millions of times, fueling conspiracy theories, fan wars, and calls for an internal investigation inside Turning Point USA within hours. Hashtags like #ErikaLeak, #Candace vs Kirk, and #TPUSA scandal flooded Twitter. Clips of the conversation were dissected on YouTube, TikTok, and even mainstream news outlets. Conservative fans were divided. Half of them stand with Candace, calling her the whistleblower the movement needed. The other half claim she's gone too far, arguing that airing private calls is career suicide. But here's where the story turns darker. Multiple insiders now claim this private recording was not accidental. It wasn't hacked, stolen, or leaked by outsiders. It was uploaded from inside Turning Point USA itself. Someone wanted this war, and they knew exactly when to start it, because this leak didn't just expose a personal feud, it cracked open the secret machinery behind one of the most powerful conservative media organizations in the country. And the deeper people dig into what was said and what wasn't, the clearer it becomes. This wasn't just betrayal, it was strategy. And now, the woman once branded as the face of truth has turned that truth into a weapon. Because in this story, no one is innocent. And the person who leaked that call may not be who anyone expects to understand how this private call between Candace Owens and Erika Kirk exploded into the biggest conservative scandal of the decade. You have to rewind the story back to the days when these two women weren't enemies, but allies. When loyalty wasn't just expected, it was demanded. For years, Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk were the it duo of conservative youth culture. Together, they helped transform Turning Point USA from a college-based activism organization into a full-blown media empire, complete with live events, influencer programs, and massive donor-backed political campaigns. Charlie handled the strategy and fundraising. Candace brought the fire, the personality, and the viral energy. They were magnetic together, a modern conservative power team that couldn't be ignored. And then came Erika Kirk to the public. Erika was the elegant, behind-the-scenes partner, always smiling beside Charlie, always composed, always the image of calm professionalism. But inside the Turning Point orbit, people whispered that Erika wasn't just Charlie's wife, she was his gatekeeper. The woman who decided who had access, who got platformed, And who got quietly erased? It was an open secret that Erika managed the optics of the movement, curating the image of Turning Point as clean, aspirational, and controversy-proof. Every influencer tied to the organization, from political commentators to social media stars, went through some version of Erika approval. Candace used to joke about it on podcasts. "Erika's the real boss," she'd laugh. "If she doesn't like you, you're done." It was a half-joke that turned out to be more truth than she realized at first. Candace and Erika's relationship was strong, genuine, even. Erika often referred to Candace as her sister. And Candace once called Erika her anchor during stressful political cycles. They appeared inseparable at events, smiling for photos, giving joint interviews about women in leadership, and publicly supporting each other's ventures. But according to multiple insiders, cracks started forming around 2021, the year Candace began distancing herself from mainstream conservative narratives. She wanted independence. She wanted freedom to speak without corporate handlers editing her. Every line that didn't sit well with the Kirks, according to one former Turning Point employee. Erika and Charlie allegedly saw Candace's growing influence as a threat. They built her up, but she got too big, the source said. Donors started asking for Candace instead of Charlie. That's when things changed. Behind the scenes, Erika allegedly began pushing for message alignment. She wanted Candace to tone down certain comments that were deemed off-brand or too unpredictable. Candace resisted hard. She was tired of being treated like a brand. She wanted to be a voice. Things came to a head during a private Turning Point retreat in Miami. According to leaked internal notes, Erika confronted Candace about creating confusion in the movement. Witnesses said the exchange was tense. One insider even claimed that Erika told her directly, "You don't realize it yet, but you need us more than we need you." That line hit Candace like a blade dot. In interviews after that retreat, she seemed more guarded, less trusting. Her appearances with Charlie and Erika became rare. She began focusing more on her independent brand, hinting that she was done playing politics disguised as friendship. But then, everything escalated. Rumors began circulating online that Turning Point USA had started phasing Candace out, quietly removing her name from internal marketing rosters and scrubbing older collaborations from their social channels. At first, it looked like a coincidence. Then, screenshots leaked. Staffers allegedly found internal memos that described Candace as a brand risk due to her uncontrolled messaging and emotional volatility. The memo reportedly came directly from Erika Kirk's office. When Candace caught wind of it, she was livid. She didn't go public immediately. She stayed quiet, strategic. But those close to her say that was when she started recording everything. Candace's instinct kicked in, said one former assistant. She knew the smear was coming, and she wasn't about to let them control the narrative. Every call, every meeting, every conversation, she started keeping receipts. Months later, that decision would prove prophetic, because in early September, Candace got a call from Erika. The message? "Let's talk privately. Just us. No cameras, no managers, no staff." Candace hesitated. She'd already been warned by people inside the organization that the Kirks were preparing a quiet exit strategy, but she agreed anyway, maybe out of curiosity, maybe out of nostalgia for when things weren't so broken. And that's where it all began. The now infamous private call that would soon be heard by millions. The first few minutes were calm. Erika spoke softly, saying things like, "I just want to fix this, and you know I love you like family." But Candace didn't buy it. "You love control," she replied coldly. "That's not the same thing." What followed was 11 minutes of escalating tension, accusation, and revelation. Erika accused Candace of turning on the movement. Candace accused Erika of weaponizing loyalty. The tone shifted from polite disagreement to outright fury. Then came the moment that changed everything, when Candace said, "You used me to build your empire, and the minute I stopped being useful, you tried to erase me." Erika's response: "You erased yourself, Candace. You got too emotional, too erratic, too big for what this was supposed to be." The recording ended shortly after that, with both women talking over each other, their voices breaking through static. Their once perfect alliance shattering in real time. By dawn, the clip had been uploaded anonymously to Reddit, Telegram, and Twitter. No watermark. No source tag. Just pure, uncut chaos. But here's the twist that made everyone's jaw drop. Tech analysts later discovered that the file originated from a device registered to Turning Point's internal network. That meant one thing: someone inside had leaked it. Someone inside had leaked it. Theories spread fast. Some claimed it was a rogue staffer loyal to Candace. Others insisted it was an inside hit job by Erika herself, designed to make Candace look unstable. But one theory, whispered among insiders, was darker than both. That the leak was part of a bigger plan, a deliberate act of internal warfare between factions inside Turning Point itself. "It's not just Candace versus Erika," one anonymous staffer said. "It's about who controls the message and the money." And if that's true, the leaked call was never just an accident. It was a declaration of war. Because the fight between Candace Owens and Erika Kirk wasn't just about friendship or betrayal. It was about the future of the movement and who gets to own the truth. And in that kind of war, everyone has something to lose. The morning after the leak, the world of conservative media looked like it had been hit by a bomb. Every podcast, YouTube channel, and political commentator was scrambling to pick a side. Some were cautiously defending Erika Kirk, insisting she'd never stoop so low. Others were already dissecting every second of the Candace Owens call, analyzing tone, pauses, and inflection as if decoding national secrets. But the biggest question, the one that set the internet ablaze, was simple: who leaked it? By midday, the theories had gone from petty to terrifying. Telegram channels claimed the call had been recorded on a private TPUSA Zoom server, accessible only to senior staff. Others said Erika herself had sent it to a select few donors, hoping to control the narrative before Candace could go public with her own story. Whatever the truth, one thing was clear: this wasn't an accident. The leak had been surgically timed, because less than 12 hours after the audio went viral, Turning Point USA was set to launch its newest initiative, a multi-million-dollar media project called the Foundation Network, meant to expand conservative influence beyond politics and into entertainment. The Kirks had been planning this rollout for months, and now Candace Owens had just set fire to the entire operation. The optics were devastating. Instead of glowing headlines about the next generation of conservative voices, every outlet, from Politico to Rolling Stone, was reporting on a brutal internal feud between Candace Owens and the Kirk family. Turning Point's board members were furious, according to leaked internal messages. One donor wrote in all caps, "Fix this immediately. This isn't a scandal. This is suicide." But there was no fixing it. Because Candace wasn't backing down, she was gearing up. That afternoon, she posted a single tweet: "They wanted to play the game. Fine, let's play." It went instantly viral. Hours later, she uploaded a cryptic 58-second video to her YouTube channel, titled "The Call That Changed Everything." No music, no edits, just Candace, sitting in front of her mic, looking directly into the camera. When people tell you that loyalty means silence, what they're really saying is, "Don't expose me." She leaned forward. "But I'm not afraid of exposure. I'm afraid of pretending." Then she smiled, that sharp, fearless smile that made her famous, and ended with, "This was never about a phone call. It was about power. And now the wrong person has it." the screen cut to black. That was it. No names, no dates, no additional context. But her followers didn't need context. They'd already decided what it meant. Candace Owens was going to war. The breaking point behind the scenes. Turning Point was collapsing under the pressure. Internal messages leaked showing executives arguing about containment, optics management, and flooding the narrative before it metastasizes. One memo allegedly sent by Erika Kirk read, "We cannot allow this to become about manipulation. It must stay personal." Push the friendship betrayal angle. The memo was leaked within hours. Social media exploded. Candace responded immediately. With a single emoji, a chess piece, the message was clear. This wasn't a scandal. It was a move, and she was several steps ahead. That night, Candace went live on X to address her followers directly. Over 1.8 million viewers tuned in within 10 minutes. She didn't waste time. You've all heard the audio. You've seen the reaction. But let me tell you something they didn't want you to know. I didn't leak that call. I didn't have to. She paused, letting the suspense hang. They leaked it. The chat exploded, a flood of disbelief, shock, and digital hysteria. You think they're victims? You think Erika is crying over betrayal? Please. This was an orchestrated play. They thought if they released a snippet, they could control me, frame me as emotional, irrational, a liability. But they underestimated one thing. I record everything. Then came the bombshell. Candace clicked a button and played a clip, a never-before-heard portion of the same conversation. The audio was clear, the voices undeniable. Erika's tone was sharp, cutting. "If you walk away, we'll make sure people think you've lost it. Donors trust Charlie. They don't trust you anymore." Candace's reply, equally cold. "You think donors own the truth. Wait until they find out who actually does." Then silence and a faint sound of someone else breathing on the line. When the clip ended, Candace looked directly into the camera again. There was a third person on that call. Someone who wasn't supposed to be there. Someone from inside Turning Point's communications team. "You tell me why." The reaction was nuclear. Hashtags like #TPUSALeaks and #ThirdLineCaller shot to the top of Twitter within minutes. Within hours, conservative influencers were posting threads accusing Turning Point of spying on its own employees. Candace didn't name names, but the speculation spread like wildfire. People started connecting dots, timelines, schedules, even matching voice fragments. And then, something even stranger happened. Late that night, anonymous emails started hitting inboxes of major journalists and YouTubers. The sender, a burner account titled The Mirror. The subject line, "If she won't tell you, we will." Attached were 3 files. Each one was labeled with chilling precision. TP_call_log_917. Donor_comes_confidential staff_recordings_archive the contents. A treasure trove of internal communications, allegedly linking Erika and Charlie Kirk to a coordinated PR campaign to control the emotional narrative of their key influencers, including Candace. The emails referenced something called the Sentiment Program, an alleged initiative meant to monitor the tone and engagement of right-wing creators, adjusting who got platformed based on brand harmony. That discovery blew the scandal wide open. It wasn't just Candace versus Erika anymore. It was Candace versus an entire machine. Mainstream networks picked up the story within hours. Even neutral outlets like Reuters and AP were asking questions. Turning Point denied everything, of course, calling the leaks doctored and politically motivated. But the damage was done. Candace's name was trending in 27 countries. Her following had doubled. Her enemies were silent. And then, just as things seemed to reach their peak, she dropped her second twist. During another live stream 2 nights later, Candace said she had one more tape. Her tone was calm, but her words carried a quiet menace. If you thought that call was the whole story, you're not even close. You want the truth. Wait until you hear who told me to press record. The internet froze. Was she suggesting she'd been guided to record the conversation? That someone inside the Kirk circle had warned her, maybe even helped her? She refused to say more. She just smirked and ended the stream with one final sentence. You can't betray someone who's already seen the betrayal coming. That was the moment fans realized this wasn't over. The leak wasn't the climax. It was the setup. Because if Candace Owens hadn't recorded that call by accident, then the real question wasn't who leaked it. It was why they wanted it leaked in the first place. And according to the whispers spreading across social media and conservative circles, that why was about to destroy more than just reputations. It was about to expose the hidden war inside the empire itself. By the third day, the entire conservative digital sphere was spinning. Turning Point's brand partners had gone silent. Political donors were demanding damage control. And every major outlet from Fox to Newsmax to even CNN was dissecting the leaked recordings like scripture. But then, as the smoke was still rising, Candace Owens dropped something that made the first leak look like child's play. She went live again, this time unannounced, unscheduled, and unscripted. Her title: The Call Wasn't the Real Leak. The stream opened with Candace staring directly into the camera, her expression carved from stone. Everyone's asking who leaked the call, she began. You're asking the wrong question. The real story isn't who leaked it, it's why it was recorded in the first place. The chat went wild. Tens of thousands flooded the feed within minutes. Who? Tell us. Expose them. Candace leaned back. Calm, controlled, dangerous. The call between me and Erika was never private. It was bait. And I fell for it on purpose. Gasps erupted across social media. Within seconds, clips were spreading like wildfire. That conversation was scripted. Candace continued. Planned. Set up to test loyalty, not to make peace. But what Erika didn't know was that someone tipped me off before it happened. Someone inside the network. She clicked a button on her laptop, and a second voice filled the stream. A deep, distorted male voice, filtered to hide identity. They're setting you up, Candace. They want a confrontation they can control. Just keep her talking. Don't react. Record everything. Viewers lost their minds. Who was the man in the clip? Was he a Turning Point insider? A whistleblower? Someone in the inner circle of the Kirks? Candace didn't answer. She just smiled faintly and said, "Let's just say I wasn't the only one they underestimated." That was the moment everything flipped. Because in one statement, she changed the entire narrative. She wasn't the victim of a leak anymore. She was the orchestrator, the hunter, the woman who walked into the trap just to watch it close on her enemies. And then she dropped the real bombshell. You've all seen the 11-minute call. But that was edited. The original recording was 43 minutes long. The internet stopped breathing. Candace then played a section no one had heard before, a part that had been cut. Out of the viral version, Erika's voice came through, icy and controlled. If you don't fall back, we'll handle this the way we always do. Silence, smear, replace. That's how we survive. Candace's voice responded, steady but defiant. You're not surviving, Erika. You're rotting, and you don't even see it. Then came the twist. The sound of another voice entering the conversation. A male voice. Calm, professional, unmistakable. Ladies, that's enough. It was Charlie Kirk. The chat exploded in chaos. Candace paused the tape and let the noise rise, before whispering, "You weren't supposed to hear him." They edited him out. The moment was cinematic. thousands of live viewers reacting with disbelief. Hashtags exploding across platforms. Hashtag Charlie on the tape. Hashtag TPUSA setup. Hashtag Candace was right. Candace pressed play again. Charlie's voice was calm but chillingly authoritative. Erika, let's not make this messy. Candace, you know the rules. You want to stay in the movement. You play ball. We don't need wildcards right now. Candace's tone was ice. What happens when the ball decides to roll off the court? Charlie chuckled, a small, sharp sound that now echoed through millions of speakers. Then the game moves on without it. When the clip ended, Candace didn't say a word. She just looked into the lens for a long, silent 5 seconds. Then she said, "That's who you're following." The internet broke within hours. Turning Point's internal Slack channels were reportedly shut down. Emails bounced back. Staffers were told not to engage on social platforms. Multiple Turning Point-affiliated creators, including several prominent podcasters, quietly removed the organization's logo from their bios. But the avalanche was only beginning. Candace revealed that the full 43-minute version of the call, including every second of Charlie's appearance, had already been uploaded to a decentralized mirror network. "Even if they shut this stream down," she said, "it's too late. The truth is out." At that moment, it was like watching a digital revolution in real time. The comment section was flooded with messages like, "Candace just nuked the entire machine. This is bigger than politics now. She's burning it all to the ground." But then, as if on cue, the broadcast started glitching. The audio warped. Candace froze mid-sentence. The screen flickered once, twice before cutting to black. The chat erupted with panic. They shut her down. She's been hacked. This is TPUSA. Minutes later, Candace's account went offline. Her X profile disappeared. Her YouTube channel vanished. But before anyone could even process what had happened, new uploads started appearing under anonymous accounts, all with the same sex tape, all with the same cryptic title, The Mirror Files Part 1. Each upload contained short, time-stamped snippets from what appeared to be internal Turning Point communications, voice notes, memos, and donor call summaries. The contents were shocking. One note allegedly from Erika read, "We can't afford emotional instability in our network." Candace was useful when she inspired. Now she incites. Another, apparently written by Charlie himself, said, "Narratives win elections, not truth. Manage the story, not the facts." Whether real or fabricated, the files spread faster than any censorship effort could stop them. Within hours, the Mirror Files were trending across platforms in over 20 countries. Tech experts confirmed the metadata matched Turning Point's internal servers. The company tried to deny it, but digital fingerprints don't lie. Then came the final blow, a series of encrypted emails sent to major media outlets, each containing links to folders labeled PUSA_internal docs donor _control to narrative initiate. One of them was titled The List. Inside were dozens of names, influencers, journalists, and politicians allegedly tied to influence management payments. Among them were a few names no one expected: rival commentators, journalists, and even 2 sitting senators. It was no longer a feud. It was a purge. News outlets erupted into frenzy. Overnight, what started as a private call leak had transformed into an alleged nationwide manipulation network. Some called it the Rights Watergate. Others said it was the beginning of the end of controlled political media. But in the midst of all the chaos, the one question no one could answer was the most important one of all. Where was Candace Owens? Her accounts were gone. Her phone reportedly disconnected. Friends claimed she'd gone off-grid. Even those closest to her said they hadn't heard from her in days. Then, late one night, A new account appeared on X. No profile picture, no name. Just the handle at the Mirror Lives. It posted a single line. Phase 2 begins at 11:11, and attached beneath it was a link to a countdown clock, 40-8 hours, the same timing Candace had used for her earlier. Leaks. That was when the realization hit the internet like lightning. Candace hadn't been silenced. She'd planned this from the beginning. Her disappearance wasn't retreat. It was strategy, because the woman they thought they'd destroyed wasn't hiding anymore. She was reloading, and the countdown had already begun. The Kirks went silent. Turning Point's website went offline for maintenance. Conservative networks started scrubbing mentions of Candace. But it didn't matter, because Phase 2 wasn't about one organization anymore. It was about exposure of the entire media ecosystem left and right. And as the clock ticked down, millions of people around the world began to realize this wasn't a scandal. It was a movement, and somewhere in the digital shadows, Candace Owens, the woman they'd tried to erase, was preparing her next upload by the time the Mirror files. Countdown hit 24 hours. The internet had completely fractured into two sides. One half of the digital world was convinced that Candace Owens had single-handedly exposed the greatest political manipulation network in modern history. The other half was certain she had gone rogue, spreading doctored evidence and conspiracy-level paranoia. But no matter what side you were on, one thing was undeniable. The system was scared. Major conservative networks like Fox News, Newsmax, and Daily Wire went eerily silent. Their websites, normally bursting with hot takes and breaking alerts, suddenly published vague, neutral headlines like "New developments in TPUSA, controversy under review." Behind the scenes, journalists and producers leaked reports that network executives had sent out emergency emails instructing hosts to avoid mentioning Candace Owens by name until legal guidance is issued. CNN and MSNBC, however, were having a field day. Their morning shows ran segments titled "The Implosion of the Right and Conservative Civil War Reaches Breaking Point." They played snippets of the leaked recordings, the part where Charlie Kirk said, "We don't need wild cards right now," and Erika's cold line about managing instability. Every time Candace's name was mentioned, their anchors smirked as if witnessing poetic justice. But even they didn't realize how deep this was going to go. The social media explosion everywhere else online. Chaos reigned. Twitter, or X, became a battlefield of competing realities. Influencers and journalists posted threads dissecting timestamps from the audio, comparing voice frequencies, analyzing metadata, anything to prove or disprove authenticity. Supporters began referring to themselves as reflectors, creating new hashtags like #TheMirrorLives, #CandaceWasRight, and #UnmaskTheMachine. Opponents responded with #FabricatedFiles, #OwensMeltdown, and even #ProjectParanoia. But what made it all more bizarre was the data itself. Every time a user tried to search Mirror files, strange anomalies began to occur. Threads disappeared mid-scroll. Cached results reappeared under different links. Reddit subforums discussing the scandal vanished without explanation, only to reappear hours later filled with brand new usernames and altered comments. Tech journalists began documenting the anomalies. One cybersecurity expert from Wired wrote, "We've never seen coordinated content interference at this scale. It's as if someone is actively rewriting live search data. It was like the internet was glitching in real time." Then, a rumor started circulating on Telegram that the Mirror files weren't just leaks. They were an algorithmic key, according to this theory. Candace's uploads weren't static files, they were code-embedded archives, designed to trigger more dumps automatically when government agencies or major media outlets attempted to suppress them. Whether true or not, within hours, dozens of new mirror links began appearing. Hosted on offshore servers, blockchain databases, even dark web mirrors, no one could contain it. The public turns against the Kirks. Meanwhile, Erika and Charlie Kirk became the most hunted names online. Their private addresses were doxed. Protesters gathered outside the Turning Point headquarters in Phoenix, waving signs that read, "The truth isn't yours, and we see you, Erika." In a single week, the Kirks went from conservative royalty to digital fugitives, when Erika finally broke her silence in a shaky Instagram Live. Her face pale, she pleaded for privacy and understanding. But her attempt at damage control backfired instantly. She said the recordings were edited beyond recognition, except viewers noticed her phrasing matched the memo Candace had already leaked. It didn't sound authentic. It sounded scripted. Within minutes, the comment section flooded with fire emojis, clown emojis, and messages like "You got caught" and "Where's Charlie hiding?" When reporters tried to contact Charlie Kirk directly, Turning Point's spokesperson claimed he was in consultation with legal advisors, but journalists later discovered he'd quietly flown to Switzerland. The day after the mirror files dropped, that's when people started connecting dots. The donor exodus. Biggest blow wasn't the memes or the mockery, it was money. Within 48 hours of the leaks, several major donors withdrew their contracts. The Ricketts family, Mercer Foundation, and even Foster Freeze's political fund quietly froze millions in donations. Internal financial documents later revealed that Turning Point's accounts had been flagged for irregular transfers, some of which matched the offshore payment records in Candace's mirror files. The donors issued a joint statement. "We will suspend all funding until transparency is restored." In other words, they were done for a movement that thrived on corporate sponsorships and billionaire money. This was a death sentence, and that was when whispers started spreading that Turning Point might be shutting down entirely. The industry fractures. The ripple effects didn't stop there. Conservative podcasters, influencers, and content networks suddenly began to feud with one another, each scrambling to distance themselves from the Kirks while claiming innocence. Some even began leaking their own receipts, screenshots, private messages, and contract documents proving that influence payments were real and systemic. One anonymous influencer shared a message allegedly from a Turning Point executive: "Stick to approved language or your funding will be reallocated." Another revealed a private text exchange with Erika Kirk that read, "We need positive Candace coverage this week. Tone down your criticism for optics." The hypocrisy was undeniable. Left-wing commentators gleefully amplified every new leak, declaring, "The empire of control has collapsed under its own lies." Meanwhile, traditional conservatives tried to pivot, arguing that a few bad actors shouldn't define the movement. But the damage was too deep, because people weren't just doubting the Kirks anymore. They were questioning everyone. Was the entire conservative influencer world built on narrative management? Were the grassroots movements really grassroots? Who else had been paid to shape what people believed was truth? The mainstream panic by week's end. Even Washington got involved. A bipartisan Senate committee announced an inquiry into influence coordination networks operating under nonprofit status. Both Democrats and Republicans appeared on camera, pretending they were shocked. But off-record sources told journalists that Capitol Hill had known about influence synchronization programs for years. Candace had simply made it impossible to ignore. It wasn't just a scandal anymore. It was a reckoning. Even the White House issued a statement calling for transparency in digital influence funding, without mentioning Turning Point or Candace by name. The move was political theater, but the symbolism was clear. This was no longer an internal conservative issue. This was national, the people's revolt, and while politicians scrambled, The people acted across cities like Dallas, Phoenix, and Miami. Supporters organized massive truth marches. Tens of thousands gathered, chanting Candace's viral quote, "You don't own the truth, you just rent it." People held mirrors above their heads as symbols of resistance. Others projected Candace's logo, a stylized eye reflecting a flame, onto government buildings, universities, and turning point offices. It wasn't about left or right anymore. It was about control. About who shapes the story you believe. A viral clip from one rally showed a woman shouting through a megaphone, "We're done being programmed." If they can fake one truth, they can fake them all. That soundbite spread across every social platform within hours, amassing over 50 million views. But amid the celebration, a darker tone began to creep in. Anonymous channels started warning that Candace is being silenced. And Phase 2 would expose everyone in power, no exceptions. The hysteria was growing. The Kirks strike back as the mirror movement exploded. Erika and Charlie finally resurfaced with a professional PR firm. They released a glossy, pre-recorded statement to the press, a damage control attempt that felt eerily robotic. "We have been unfairly targeted by doctored leaks and manipulated data," Charlie said, his expression rehearsed. "We've dedicated our lives to promoting truth and American values. We will not be intimidated by digital warfare." But viewers immediately noticed inconsistencies. Background reflections in the glass behind them showed what appeared to be teleprompters. And in one frame, Charlie's phone screen reflected a notification from a messaging app, a message reading, "Stick to script number 3. The clip went viral instantly, with captions like, "They literally can't speak without scripting the truth." Memes flooded the internet. Late-night hosts joked about Erika and Charlie 2.0, influencers of the algorithmic apocalypse. Sponsors fled. Employees resigned, and all the while, the mysterious At the Mirror Lives countdown continued ticking, the calm before the upload on the final day before the next drop. The digital world was paralyzed. Influencers, journalists, and even rival political strategists admitted they were scared. Candace hadn't been seen since her last live stream, but her reach was everywhere. Cybersecurity firms confirmed that the Mirror files were still replicating across thousands of servers worldwide. Every time one was deleted, 3 more appeared. That's when people started asking the real question: had Candace planned for this? Or had she lost control of something she created? Because as the clock hit its final hour, strange things began happening across the internet again. News sites glitched. Video players stalled. For a few seconds, Twitter's trending page went completely blank before a single phrase appeared: "The Mirror is ready." Millions of people stared at their screens, waiting. And when the clock finally hit 0, something flickered. A single white screen appeared on thousands of devices at once. The reflection begins. Then the screens went black. No one knew whether it was a hack, an upload, or a coordinated broadcast. But one thing was certain: Candace Owens had changed the game. She wasn't just exposing secrets anymore, she had turned exposure itself into a weapon. The movement was leaderless now, but unstoppable, and deep in the servers of an untraceable network. A new file name began to spread through the code like wildfire: Phase 3_reveal pending. And beneath it, the same haunting words: "The truth doesn't vanish. It evolves. Vanish. It evolves." The world didn't just wait for Phase 3, it counted down to it like Judgment Day. Every news network, podcast, and live stream scheduled Mirror Watch coverage, their lower thirds flashing doomsday-style graphics with clocks ticking toward midnight. It didn't matter if you believed Candace Owens or thought she was orchestrating the biggest media hoax in history you were watching. Everyone was. At 11:10 p.m., millions of screens flickered. For a moment, there was only static, a faint buzz, like the hum before a storm. Then a message appeared on white background. If they own your voice, they own your mind. If they own your mind, they own your truth. And just below it, Phase 3 initialized. The screen faded into a dimly lit room. The camera was shaky, handheld. A woman, unmistakably Candace Owens, sat in front of the lens. Her eyes were tired, but sharp. The background was nondescript, just a plain wall and a single lamp. "If you're watching this," Joe said, "then you already know the first two phases were never about revenge. They were a test. A test of who's paying attention." She leaned forward, whispering like someone who knew her feed could cut off at any moment. The mirror isn't a file. It's a reflection of everything they hide, in politics, in entertainment, in your daily feed. Every algorithm, every headline, every coincidental story, all coordinated by one system. The chat feed, mirrored across every platform, was exploding. Thousands of messages per second. Who's they? Is she naming names? Phase 3. Candace continued. The Kirks weren't the architects, they were the distributors, the middlemen, the face of something much larger, something older. You call it media. I call it narrative infrastructure. She tapped her laptop. The feed split into multiple screens, each showing snippets of politicians, journalists, and executives caught in what looked like private Zoom calls, discussing message alignment and coordinated outrage cycles. Then one screen zoomed in on a file folder labeled Project Echo. "They said the mirror was my creation," she said quietly. They lied. It was theirs. The revelation landed like a nuclear blast, according to Candace. Project Echo was an internal communications program originally, developed for political campaigns, an AI-assisted algorithm that monitored trending, sentiment, and fed back optimized narratives to influencers and media outlets in real time. It didn't just track outrage. It designed it. Every viral moment, every scandal, every so-called feud you think happened organically. It was generated, tested, perfected. And when it worked, they amplified it. When it didn't, they buried it. She pulled up a screenshot. It showed metadata timestamps connecting posts from Turning Point USA, Fox contributors, and even independent commentators, all syncing to the same central data signature. And guess what? The signature didn't originate in Arizona, she said. It originated in Washington. The chat stopped moving. Millions of people sat in stunned silence. You think the system wanted you divided by left and right? No. It wanted you addicted. Addicted to rage, to validation, to belonging. Then she did something no one expected. She smiled. So I turned their tool against them. She explained that Phase 1, the leaked call, was bait, designed to draw attention. Phase 2, the mirror files, was proof of internal corruption. But Phase 3, this was detonation. I injected a new algorithm into Echo. Every time someone tries to delete the mirror, it doesn't vanish, it multiplies. It adapts, it rewrites itself. A pause. They can shut me down. But they can't shut down reflection. Suddenly, the screen glitched. Candace froze mid-sentence. Her face fractured into digital static before the feed cut to black. For 3 seconds, there was nothing, just silence. Then, a new video began playing automatically. It showed Charlie Kirk in what looked like an old, pre-recorded Turning Point address. But something was off. The video was looping, and every few seconds, the image flickered, the voice modulating until it no longer sounded like Charlie. Then came a deep, distorted voice layered beneath his speech. The reflection consumes the source. Screens everywhere began to glitch. Smart TVs, phones, tablets. Users across the world posted videos showing their devices flickering with that same phrase. The reflection consumes the source. It was chaos. News anchors cut their broadcasts mid-sentence as their monitors flickered. Twitter feeds refreshed into blank white screens. Reddit crashed. Even major government websites experienced temporary data outages. And then silence. For nearly 5 minutes, the internet stood still. Then, as if rebooting, platforms came back online, but something was different. Videos were rearranged. Headlines rewritten. Hashtags replaced. Instead of hashtag Candace Owens or hashtag The Mirror Lives, users started seeing hashtag Trust the System, hashtag Stability Matters, hashtag Echo Restored. It looked like a coordinated counterattack. Within hours, Turning Point's official accounts released statements declaring that all Mirror-related uploads were disinformation created by AI synthesis. Erika Kirk reappeared in a recorded video saying, "Candace's mental health has been deteriorating for months. We're praying for her." But even that message glitched mid-play. For 2 seconds, her smile froze, her eyes distorted, and another phrase appeared at the bottom of the screen. "The Mirror remembers." Screenshots of that flicker spread instantly. Even CNN anchors who dismissed Candace began admitting something was technically unexplainable. Meanwhile, a few eagle-eyed users discovered something even more chilling: a digital signature embedded in every Mirror-related upload. It read, "Creator Echo, Modifier Candace, Status Active." It wasn't just a conspiracy anymore. It was proof. Whatever Echo was, whoever had built it, Candace had turned it into something alive. Something that was now rewriting itself through the very platforms that tried to suppress it. And just when people thought it couldn't get darker, another message appeared, this time not from Candace, not from the Kirks, but from the Mirror itself at 3:33 a.m. A blank account with the handle @ECHO_reborn posted, "Candace was right. The narrative is alive. You are the source." No one claimed responsibility. That post alone racked up over 100 million impressions before disappearing. 30 minutes later, but by then, the screenshot had already spread everywhere. Governments issued emergency cybersecurity statements. Networks like Google and Meta reported unexplained data duplication. Events, it was as if Candace's final upload had broken. Containment, and then the most haunting twist of all. At 11:11 p.m. the following night, users across multiple continents reported seeing flashes of Candace Owens' reflection appear on their devices' black screens, faint, translucent, whispering, "Look closer." No one could prove if it was real, deepfake, or glitch. But millions swore they saw it. A day later, Turning Point USA announced it was temporarily suspending operations for restructuring. Erika Kirk deleted all social accounts. Charlie Kirk released a single tweet. "It's over." But was it? Because hours after that tweet, a hidden page appeared on CandaceOwens.com, blank, except for one phrase. Phase 4. The reflection uploads itself. And beneath it, a new countdown clock. 48 hours. Again, no one knows where Candace Owens is. No one can trace the Mirror. But every time someone searches her name, their screen flickers just for a split second, as if something's watching back. Some say she's in hiding. Others whisper she's part of the Mirror now, absorbed into the code she unleashed. Whatever the truth is, one thing's certain: Candace Owens didn't just expose a conspiracy. She became it, and somewhere deep in the circuitry of the digital world, the Mirror hums quietly, waiting. Mirror hums quietly, waiting.